Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. While you might normally see fully dedicated tutorials from me, instead I want to show you my entire avatar creation process from start to finish. This avatar was made for a commission, and I thought it'd be a great two-in-one to show you along the way. While this isn't really a tutorial, my hopes are that you learn things that I might not have even thought to make a TikTok of in the first place. So sit back and enjoy. So for this video, I wanted to do something a little different, and I'm actually going to make a commission that I have. This is what the commission looks like, and we found assets together that match all of this that they're happy with. And the plan is just to go my own pace and teach what I can along the way. This is more of an intermediate or advanced guide, I guess. So if you're looking for a beginner guide, I suggest you go to my previous videos, specifically the Unity and Blender how to make a VRChat avatar videos, because I will not be going into detail on really simple things, but things that I might not have covered then, I might cover now. So I'm going to just jump right into this. I'm going to keep a heavy eye on their reference. So I'm going to use the shape keys to match the reference as much as I can before I go in and edit it manually. Let's leave it there. New shape from mix, and then I'll call this, and then apply to base, and then if I needed to turn it off at all, I would just set the value to full and it resets it. I'll do the same to the face as well, just in case they end up not liking it, then I can quickly undo it rather than delete the whole body. Okay, and I want to make this area thicker. Yeah, it's very top heavy, the reference, so we're gonna roll with that. Let me get the bodysuit on now so I can stop blurring everything. I'm gonna size it with the Z scale to make it shorter without making it smaller. If you're wondering how I'm moving it like this, I do have a quick tutorial covering it in detail, but it's just this button here. Without it selected, it only moves the vertices that I select, but with it selected, it moves the area, and then I can zoom in and out based on how much I want to move with it. Okay, so now I've got it mostly shaped, and I want to make it transparent so I can confirm it's as close to the body as it can be. Might be sticking out in some spots, so I'm gonna blur again. Okay, that looks pretty good. Gonna make it opaque again, and then I'm going to make sure that none of it's peeking through the skin again. Alright, let me hide the armatures and add the skin. Start adding all the materials. Fishnet. Let's see that bodysuit. With how I import the materials directly from textures, it will name the materials what the textures are called, so or what this is called, so it would call that material fishnet, so I do not want that. I try and keep these clean to make it make more sense when it's in Unity. Alright. This is something that ended up being confusing for a lot of people in my other video, so I am going to go into detail about this. So I like to delete the bones. If this was rigged to the base, I would delete the bones anyway, because this one might be called arm.r while this one's called arm.l. In this case, it's right arm. Even if it is rigged to the same body, sometimes the asset creator doesn't name it exactly the same. And when you merge them together, you'll end up having two arm bones. So I like to just delete the arm bones anyway, because even though I deleted them, you can still see in the weight painting that it's tied to right arm, even though I deleted it. So none of the weight painting will disappear, even though I deleted the bones. So when I merge them together, this chest area is still weight painted to the chest, so that's why it moves. Now, of course, the arm doesn't move because it was weight painted to right arm. That's only super relevant information in some cases, but you might find it being helpful when you're trying to rig something complicated that has straps or is baggy. I'll go into an example actually. Let me undo all of this. I had this same issue later on. The weight painting ended up being really bad at the hip. So I moved that portion here so you can see what I mean. One towards the top is the original weight painting. So left leg is the one we want to use, and then leg L is the old one. I want the name, I'm gonna delete it. And then I'm gonna paste it in here. So yeah, that's significantly cleaner. That's the original creator's weight paint, not the robust weight transfer. The only problem is I might need to fix the knee weight paintings. It's not gonna line up, but we'll get to that. Let's do the same for the other leg. Get the name, remove the vertex, paste it in. Oops, paste it in. There we go, that looks significantly better. And now let's pose and see how much fixing we need to do down here. None. We lucked out. Alright. Butt looks good. Okay, that's actually the first time that I've ever done that and not had to go in and fix issues. I might go and change the head size later. I think it really depends on the vibe of the whole avatar, how big the head should be. But that's really easy to set the size of later. I can just mess with that. I can just resize the head bone in Unity if it comes to it. So you might think the head is too big or too small right now. I might change it later. I'm not gonna delete these bones because I need the eye bones and stuff, and I like the cheekbones here. I've lately been adding a cheek pull so you can grab the cheek and pull it. It's really cute. So I'm gonna leave those and merge them. I'm gonna go down the list from here. So the next thing to add is the hair. I'm gonna make sure I don't forget anything. Okay, they definitely want the shorter one. If I move the hair too much here to shape it, I need to make sure the bones line up. I'm doing this on my non-work computer, so I'm gonna have to go back and get all of the textures and everything that I use from my work laptop. For now, I'll just do a solid black. Okay, I want to get the head out of the way. I'm going to match this to the reference as much as possible. If I modify the shape keys too much, things like the blink might blink too much or not enough. I'm gonna have to go in and edit those as well. Okay, I'm gonna start by seeing what I can do with the pre-made stuff though. I mainly just like to not keep the head default. If I can make it as unique of a head as I can, just from the shape keys and slight modification of the head, then I will. Okay, now beyond anything there, I'm going to add a new shape key. I want the hair to not be going in the head, but I don't want to give it a 5 head, so just gonna morph the head down. And you do not want to do this on the basis at the top because it can mess up all of the other shape keys. I'm gonna have to fix that hair actually. If there's anything I just glance over, by the way, feel free to let me know what's with a question of something you're confused on in the comments, and maybe that's something I specifically make a video on. Hole. And then I'm just gonna Alt-S this down. Okay, the only thing I don't like is the edges of the eyelashes feel very sassy, I guess, but cat-like. But I did not get that with the shape keys. So I'm gonna make another shape key and try and do that myself. Yeah, that nailed it. Okay, there, I like that. So now I'm gonna new shape from mix. I'm gonna name it the person again, and then I don't need these two that I created. Start pose mode and exit. That will wipe the shape keys, and then I apply to bases. Okay, next is the pants. Okay, this is a low waist even lower than that. I don't want the chains. I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm hiding these so I can delete the chain. And then Alt H to show it again. I think I saw clipping. Yep. I really want to capture how low they have it. It's like right below the hips. I have to do so much shaping here. Feels too low. Okay, at this point I want to make it closer to the body, so I'm gonna set that to transparent and shape it in. Oh yeah, it wasn't even close. Okay, I need to visualize it better with the textures. The shape is getting closer, but looking at the model, it looks very wrong. It needs to be like straighter. The ankles here, that's gonna be fun. The first thing I want to do is, before I mess with this at all, I made a TikTok about this in better detail, but I'm going to separate these. Let me leave the hip alone. There. And then I'm going to leave that for now, but I want to do that before I shape this further. Otherwise it'll be harder to later. Okay, I'm gonna move these so they line up at the ankles. And then I don't need these bones anymore except for this one, and then I don't want to have to manually parent it to the hip bone later, so I'm gonna keep the hip bone too. These need to line up perfectly with this, and to be honest, I messed this up. And I'm not actually using the bow because we are adding a new bow on top, so I'm just gonna delete it. Okay, and I want to make this part a tad baggier. Oh, I did the thing, I messed with the bases. Okay, it seems fine. Just in case, I'm gonna make a new one. I think I need to lower this. Actually, the pants aren't even this low to begin with. Alright, so this data transfer would be would be a huge pain in the butt to data transfer that, so that's where those two shape keys come in, and now I'm gonna data transfer like this. Now when I spread the legs, there definitely is still some, but it's gonna be a lot easier to clean up. Oh, let me put that shape key back before I mess with anything. Now we clean this up. Okay, I want to go ahead and make shape keys for the body. Make sure I get the armpits and the elbows primarily. The spine when, oh, there's a huge gap there. Pull in the spine. And the boobs for when they move. Next on the list is the belt ribbon thing, but I'm gonna skip that for now because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little scared. The way it goes in and out of the pants, I do want to try and do that. I told them I might not be able to, and it might just fully be on the outside, but I am going to try. So let's do the ears next. Okay, they do not want the gold tips, so I'm going to delete those. Alt H to show it again. Okay, these are pretty far forward, but I do need to leave room for the antlers. Let's do that, and I'll put the antlers right there. Okay, so depending on how these look, this might be two materials. Yeah, okay, so both ears are front and back, and let's select the other ear, make a new material. We'll call this one Bunny Ears R, and then this one New Bunny Ears L. So with this selected, assign. Now both ears are their own material. That one is black. Let's go ahead and add that in now. You're not using the ears and tails from the same asset. Like that. How do you feel about that? Chat? Okay, I do like that. Let me just... Why do I have 2 armatures? Oh, I didn't join the ears. This comes with a full body rig for some reason, so I'm gonna make sure I delete that except for the ears. Those are gonna stay. And the head bone. Otherwise I'll just end up with multiple arms and legs and stuff. Oh, this bone is also the wrong size. Okay, these are the eyes. Get rid of those, and then we can join. I'm gonna uncheck that just to make sure we merge it to the head. Because if it did show the thing at the bottom, that means that's not the head bone. And I'm just gonna merge it to the hips. I have a very specific way I name things personally. All accessories get called other unless there's multiple of that accessory. So if there are multiple tails, I would name them tail bunny, tail cat. Makes it a lot easier for the setting up the toggling. Okay, next on the list is the hoodie. Luckily it's already rigged to ZenFit base, so not as much shaping as I thought there would be. Since the bodysuit's not getting toggled off, I'm just gonna shape it to the bodysuit and that's it. I'm not gonna shape it to the body and make a shape key. Okay. So this goes significantly higher. So like here is where it should go. So I'm gonna grab all of this and rotate it. And then pull it up. Weight transfer, delete the old bones, and merge. I'm going to pose it and then go into, then make it transparent to make sure it lines up, because sometimes it'll stick out really far. It's harder to see. Yeah, it definitely is. It's also clipping right there. Do it again. Much better. There's only one, so I'm gonna call it other. I'm gonna fix this real quick. I don't like how the hair is going through the hood. So with this set to connected, I should be able to move this without the actual hoodie being moved. And then I can pull it in. Yeah, I'm a lot happier with that. To an extent, there's gonna be clipping there. I'm not gonna make that permanent in case they end up later on wanting to add a ponytail or something. Because then we can bring it all the way back out to its original shape. So, like, this would be the long hair, and then they add a ponytail, well, we can pull that back out. And then add that shape key. I want to start at the elbows. That should be good. A little too low. Oops. There we go. Make sure from no angles that can be seen. Ooh, yeah, it's visible right there. I want to get rid of that. Let me just pull that in a tiny bit. There we go. Oh, you can see there's clipping there in the back. Wow, those are rigged to ZenFit. Nice. Let me see if I can just do that. Oh, I did size the base up. That's probably why it's doing that. Oh no, that looks weird. Is that because I did that? Yeah, I gotta do it manually. Okay, I'm a little lazy and I don't want to do it to both. I'm gonna duplicate it, mirror, and then X. And then when I join them together, the normals are gonna be flipped. Need to double side and then undouble side, and I'll see that. There's other ways to visibly see it, but that's just how I do it. Okay. Weight paint, other socks. This one does not come with an armature, so you can't use cats. You need to shift, drag it in. Oh, I don't need these anymore. Oh wait, that was shaped. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about that. Okay, it being raised like that on the shape key it definitely will cause issues with the weight painting, and I'm not gonna do a new data transfer, so I'm gonna have to manually fix that. Oh, that means I don't need a sock shape key. Okay, just gonna add one to the body. There. Okay, so now I wanna see how bad the pants are messed up. Yeah, okay, yeah. Luckily that's an easy fix. So I'm gonna completely remove that. Let me turn off front face only. I need to make sure that there's actually weight painting on that area for the knee as well. Let me find the other one. Socks are not moving with it because I need to add a modifier, armature, and select the armature. No shoes. The reference has... I'm hungry. The reference has gold, and the socks do not come with that, so I'm gonna have to create a texture for that. Now for the harness, which I need to go download as well. Okay, I only want this piece. Delete the rest. I kind of want it to... how it's like completely under the... yeah, I might need to add more polys. Okay, I'm gonna start with shaping it. I don't know if what I said there just made sense, but I'll explain it. Kind of like how socks will have a thigh squish. I think that's what this is kind of needs to be doing. So I'm gonna line that up, and then the rest that doesn't line up, I'm gonna push that in. Okay, I'm gonna create a loop cut here. So Control R, and then it creates this line, and then I just click and then escape. And do another one. Oh my gosh, I don't want to do it to the arms. Let's see if this is enough. Okay, new shape key so I don't mess up the old ones. Okay, and then I'm just gonna drag all of these in until they don't clip. That does not at all give the impression of what I was talking about. Is it? Oh my gosh. Why? I'm gonna show the boobs. Okay, maybe I should follow the boobs and not the bodysuit. This is something I'm hoping I can try and achieve, but I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay, I'm gonna pull this part out. There. Now I just push the bodysuit underneath. And whatever's clipping through the body, I'll have to pull the harness out further. Yeah, okay. So this is looking good. I'm glad I did this. Yeah, I like that a lot. Compared to that, like, and then just having the harness sitting on the outside, it actually looks like the harness is holding it up. I'm calling it a harness. A strap? I don't know. Reindeer horns. Just make them smaller. Okay, now put it into position behind the big fluffy bangs. Okay, now for the belt. So I was originally gonna use just this one, but the bow feels very artificial. I think I might UV it to fit the bow, just to see if I can get rid of an extra material slot. Okay, so this is what I would do, is just have it on the outside, but that obviously doesn't match the reference, so now for pain, let me get rid of the bow. Cuts off here, so that part's visible. Oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this? Alright, I like that. You know what? I nailed that. I'm gonna weight paint it to the sweatpants. Oh, I forgot to add the antlers. Yeah, this is one perfect example. If I kept that merged, then the antlers would just be weight painted to the, or not literally weight painted, but it would move with the hip. So I need to uncheck that. So I can see that I need to manually attach it to the head. That does create a head bone, and you might see me go in later and delete the antler. What the heck? All right. I think I wanted this one. Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna use this bow. Let me see if I can combine both. Why does it look like a ribbon? Okay, first I'm just gonna select that, get rid of all the extra stuff. There, that was a huge pain in the butt. Probably could have just found a different bow or made one myself at that point, but now to combine them. Okay, I'm gonna make sure these are named the same. Bowtail R, L, and then, yeah, we're just same name pasted in. L. Okay, cool, they are named exactly the same. So I'm gonna merge those two together. Should create... Okay, we have a random end bone. Alright, now I can take this and drag it. Okay, that seems good. There. Okay, so now we have an issue from this. Let me merge it to the body. Okay, merge it to the hips. So now the bow root is connected to the hip bone, and then this one doesn't have bones, so I'm gonna just merge all bones. Whoa, why did that mess up? Oh my gosh. Okay, I had to apply the scale for some reason. Okay, so now we have an issue of all three of these use different materials, and that's really unoptimized, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna pick my favorite, and I really like the quality of this bow and this bow. So this one's definitely not gonna keep its material. If you don't care about optimization, I wouldn't worry about this, but I try and have as few material slots and textures as possible. Those are usually the biggest issues when it comes to optimization. I think that'll be the easiest route. So then this one's gonna become spiral bow. Of course, it's gonna be really messed up, so I'm gonna have to grab them and see if I can just drag them right in. I'm assuming this is the part that I deleted on the other bow. Okay, I can see the padding there on the texture, so as long as I don't go outside of those lines, I don't really need to line it up perfectly. And then spiral bow again, and I'm actually just gonna put it in the same, actually let's put it here. If I make it too small, it's gonna lose all texture, so maybe not. I actually don't even like the UV of this. Okay, it's not great, but it's definitely better, and will show the normal a little better. Okay, yeah, so that will... I might add a cloth normal on top of this normal. And Poyomi allows you to have like two normals, so I might overlay them. But that looks good. Okay, and then let's make it black. That looks really good. Oh my gosh. We are gonna add the vitiligo as well. So this is going to be a lot of substance painter work for this one, specifically for the socks and the vitiligo. I'm not going to substance painter the ears, but I will take that into Photoshop, and I'm going to ask about the hoodie strings. So that is all I'm doing today. Okay, the last thing I need to do is combine these, set the eye tracking and the visemes, and then add my name in. So I always put my watermark in the head, and then weight paint it to the head bone. I should do this like literally once on the FBX, and then I never have to do it again, but I don't. So set the modifier, armature, shift, drag it in, and then I could leave it head, but the head mesh is called face. So for one less material slot, let's do that, and then UV it to the forehead, and that looks good. Now I can join it to the body, and it's weight painted. I also specifically make it part of the same material, so someone can't rip the model and then just separate by materials, and then it's right there and easy to hit delete on. So it's one step harder for a ripper to go in and delete my name. And I also make it skin color, so it's not as noticeable if you do peek into the head accidentally. We are all done now with the blender part. I will not be going over every shader detail that I do personally. For example, the hair, I do a lot of things like an outline on emissive scrolling matte cap, and if I show literally everything that I do, then like the whole point of an avatar style is you have your own unique way of doing shader work and more. And if I show you how to make an avatar with all of those steps, then my unique way of making an avatar doesn't really mean anything at that point. Now, I'm not gonna gatekeep those things. If you've seen settings that I do in the past and you want to know how I do that specific setting, you can definitely ask in my Discord, and I have sections where I provide shader settings, and I'll just add it there. But I'm not gonna go through literally everything I do, and it's gonna what I go over in Unity will mainly be like the reflections and specular, the rim lighting, maybe a matte cap for the skin. But again, I'm not gonna go over everything that I do. You'll kind of just see it look how I recommend people set up their shaders for their avatars, and then it'll turn into how I do the shader settings, if that makes sense. But we're all done here. I'm going to close this for now. Alright, we are on day 2. I'm doing the Unity portion now. Here's what I've got going in my VCC. I manually updated the SDK to 3.8.2. Specifically, this avatar isn't Quest compatible, but this is something I do regardless. However, for Quest compatible avatars, the new Toon standard shader is not compatible with the default one that it starts with, so I just get into the habit of manually updating my SDK. Got VRC Fury because I'm going to add all of the optimization, as well as a new blink feature that I'm going to try out. Poyomi, Gesture Manager, and just in case 3.0 Manager. And I think that's all I need. But first thing I do is start a folder, name it avatar, keep things organized. Then I add the FBX in, check that because I don't want it to be on calculate. It also prevents Blendshape corruption. Specifically when you turn on the blend shapes and you can see them like pixelate for some reason. Oh, it's not gonna let me pull that in. Okay. Oh, it's hard to describe. I made a TikTok about it once. I want to go ahead and pull the textures in. Okay, so now that I've got the textures folder in, I'm going to use materials legacy from model material, and I'm actually going to select project wide. I feel like it's been helping prevent it from creating that FBM folder. See, if I selected the other one, local materials folder, it would have made the name of the avatar .fbm, but it did not this time because I put the textures in first and then selected project wide. So then it found the textures that were already assigned. First thing I do right out the gate, personally, is all of the shader work. So, got all the materials set to white because sometimes Blender sets them to gray. And then the first thing I do is go down the list with them all selected. This is somewhat more, I can't think of the word. This is just my opinion. There's no wrong or right way to do this. So if you don't like something, you don't like a certain setting, just change it. It's totally okay. If you like the rim lighting having the outer part being light rather than dark, as you see me add here, I'm going to multiply gray. Some people prefer it added, then it adds that outer layer. I like it darker. There's no wrong way of doing this. I don't like to have the avatar so bright, so I lower it, and then the grayscale lighting, if you go to like just B Club, I don't like how orange it makes the skin, so I tone it down just a little. If I'm not going to add a grayscale lighting radial, then I just put it up to about here. For the skin, I like to multiply more reddish than gray, so it feels less dull. And then I'm kind of all over the place at the moment. I like reflections and specular on everything about here. But then on the skin, I'll turn it up a lot more. I actually have a setting. I actually have a setting here that I personally really like. I put these here for myself, to be honest. I come back to them all the time. So it's the glitter and the settings that I like. I'm not gonna worry about the exact number, but okay, something like that. And then let's go ahead and add the glitter in too. 3000. Let me pull this over here now. You get the point. I'm just copying the settings at this point. And then the skin, the face, I'm actually going to turn it up more because I have a glitter map that I made. My iPad's in the way. I can't see the screen. I like it on the nose and around the eye. The corner of the eye specifically is one of my favorite spots. However, it's so low that you can't really see it in a lot of angles, so I increase it more. Oh, and one of the newer things I like to do is increase the glitter size and make it base color, make it use base color. So if there's actually white corners in the eye for the texture, then the glitter will be more white there. Okay, now that I increased glitter size, I need to I need to lower it. Oh, and then I always forget to set the speed to 0 at first. I don't like that it's staticky. Okay, now I'm gonna start applying the materials. Okay, I'm gonna hide everything else except for the bodysuit for obvious reasons. So I only want to focus on the body at the moment because now I want to go into Photoshop. I'm not gonna worry about that yet. I'm gonna worry more about the colors of everything, the eye texture and stuff. I'm gonna start with the skin color, easy peasy. Get that right out of the way. Okay, all done. I matched it to the reference as best as I can. I darkened the eyelashes. I also took the e-girl texture that's like included with this head. I thought it looked pretty cute because I have like a very heavy wing going on, so I thought that might fit it. I also combined 2 different eye textures to get that because there is a slit going on here rather than a normal pupil. Just kind of had fun with it and tried stuff until something looked good. Now I want to make the eyes shinier. And I like to add a clear coat and lower the reflection just a little bit. And then I like to add an emission. I made emissions based on the eyes that I made. I also like to delete the directional light when the light with this lighting toggle so I can see, like, this is what it would look like when the world has like minimal lighting, and this is what it looks like when the world is really dark, so I can get a good variety with just toggling that if I turn off the directional light. Okay, so now the lower part has some emission and then the glares are completely white. Moving on now that the hard part, I guess, the part that I want to spend a lot of time on is done. I do like to add an outline. I feel like this is becoming more and more common that people will do. I just set it to 0.5, and then I actually have an outline mask that I made for this head because I don't like the eyelashes having an outline. But everything else has an outline. I'm remembering that I did not add a normal. The normal really helps the specular shine through. It's really strong right now, but it's seamless, so I can tile it down. You can see it right there. Okay, now for the hair. One of my favorite parts. This is where I feel like my style shines through the most. Okay. I'm gonna first go over the basic stuff that I think you can add to improve it. So the texture, the normal, and the alpha map are kind of required, especially depending on what mesh you end up going with. You could see the hair was like really blocky, and now it's not. So this one really required it. I also like to add a matte cap, but I personally hate when it's really high up. It just looks oily and gross. I like to make it really subtle, especially if it's black. I'll even change the color to make it darker so I can add more. Something like that. Maybe even lower. I like the matte cap, but I genuinely hate when avatars have it so high that your hair looks oily. Got the rim lighting and specular, and then you can't go wrong with a little emission just to make things a little fancier. I set it to white, and then obviously the reference. I know the reference doesn't have an emission, but I think every avatar needs a little emission, so I'm gonna make it really low to the point you can barely see it. Yeah, something like that. Like it almost looks gray at that point, but I mean, so even the reference isn't plain black, so I think that gives me some creative liberty. I like to add outline to the hair and skin. I'm even gonna add some audio link to the tips, so when the bass hits, it'll kind of do this. But again, I want it to be pretty low. So since the reference is completely black hair, I don't want to change it too much. Okay, now that the fun part's over, I'm gonna start adding all of the textures for the clothing. One thing I forgot to do is select all the materials, scroll down to the bottom, and then set the rendering to off. Now, I might recommend doing that at the end because as you just saw, the strap here is actually facing the wrong way. So when the shaders are off and someone hasn't shown the avatar yet, the strap will be invisible. And that only genuinely matters if like the bodysuit was doing that, then the boobs would be out when the shaders are off. But I am going to go ahead and flip that strap now that I've noticed it. But you might check that before you set the rendering to off and make sure everything is facing the right way. But yeah, I do like to set the rendering to off. Some people say there's no reason to do it for everything. So the bodysuit being an example where you, except for like this right here, you can't even see the rendering on the inside, so it makes it a little more optimized leaving it off. But, oh, the head's an example. There's nothing on the head where you can see the other side, so you might as well leave it to back to make it a little more optimized. And the body too. I think it's something about rendering both sides of the mesh. I don't know. Okay, this is actually gray, and I'm gonna use the white one and darken it. I want to get the exact hex code. There it is. I'll copy it here, and then I can just paste it in. Exact hex code, there we go. Okay, I like to have a folder called matte caps, and then metal and any other latex maybe will go in here. And then so I always do two. One of them is a cube map. Pretty much every time I talk about metal, I have a different way of doing it. But this has been this most recent method has been what I've been doing for the last several months. Oh, there's some clipping there I'm gonna have to go fix. I'll do that now. Okay, that's fixed. Moving on. So I like to have the matte cap replace all the way the reflections and specular, cube map goes in there, and then I turn all of these up. And then if I scroll back up, looking for cube map, this is what gives that brightness. Not the e-boy glitter that I've made a TikTok about in the past, but it's a similar. See how it like shines right there? So it'll kind of flicker depending on where you move. And then if you want even more than that, you can go down here, add glitter, and then I set glitter density to 5, so there's only 5 pieces of glitter in here, and then they move at a speed of 3, so they're pretty slow. And that has been the most ideal glitter setting. Let me show that to you in play mode. See, it just flickered right there, so it's very subtle. You'll just have random flashes of white. Alright, now to the hoodie. Need a plain one. And that doesn't exist. I do really like the texture work going on here with the sleeves. So I'm gonna Photoshop one of these textures to be plain. Just gonna select, see if I can content aware. There we go. Now it's just a plain white hoodie. Control R to refresh, pop that in there, and then I might need to go get that hex code. Whoa, that is really dark. There. I like to add the AO map, but then I also add it as a decal. Just multiply it a tiny bit. See how it adds this like a tiny bit of extra shading? I have a new bug lately where I hit this eyeball and it does not turn it back off. It is so annoying. I'm just gonna hit this eye to disable it, and I won't use it anymore. Now to see how messed up this texture is after I UV wrapped it myself. Put that in here. It's actually not that bad. Okay, I had to go grab a cloth normal. So it's just a little too plain for me. The normal is simple, I guess. So I'm gonna select here, detail normal on texture, to add 2 normals. And it's really strong, so I'm gonna tile it, make it smaller, and then even lower the intensity. So now we have the normal that came with the ribbon, and you can see the ridges there and whatnot, as well as the cloth normal. I think that looks a lot better. Okay. Oh, and I'm looking at the reference and the bow is actually black. The sweatpants are what's gray. I bought these sweatpants for this commission. I've seen them before and I really like them. They're, you saw I made them a tiny bit puffier. I'm definitely gonna use this on a version for my avatar because I like the sweatpants so much. It does match the reference. I guess I just wish that it had more ridges going on. I wonder if I can make this gray to turn it into a base color. I'm gonna wing it and see what happens. Does that look good? Does that look good? I don't... It feels very strong now. I think I just want to add it as a decal instead of the base color. That way I can decide how intense I want it. So I can turn it down. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Okay, let's do the antlers. Is there no normal? Normal map converter. Then you can drag this in and it creates a normal based on what it sees. It might not be good, but a lot of the time it does help. Yeah, so it instantly takes all of those ridges that it sees and raises them and lowers them. It's doing the best that it can with the generator, so I'm just gonna turn it up a tiny bit before it gets too pixely. Okay, for this I'm gonna select both ears and put the maps in. Okay, I need to get this into Photoshop now. That's it. Okay, perfect. The ears need the alpha. When the material is black, the rim lighting will not multiply, so I set it to add and then invert it. And I might darken it a tiny bit and lower the alpha until I'm happy with it. A tiny bit of the inside lightens up instead of darkens the outside, because you can't darken black. I'm finished with the material portion. Time to move on to the FX setup. Checking to see if it has a like look down blend shape instead of just setting it to none. Yeah. Oh yeah, that looks good. We are using GoGoLoco. I'm realizing a very unfortunate thing here is I use AV3 Creator, and you can only have that license on one computer, and I'm recording on my non-work computer. So I'm gonna have to do all of the toggles manually. That's fun. Okay, not doing right defaults. That one. I'm doing fake index for the gestures. Not having AV3 Creator on for a commission might make me not record one of these videos ever again. Unless this video does really well. The thought of having to make everything myself is so frustrating. Isn't there a free one? Toggle Assistant? I have used Toggle Assistant once, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So bear with me. Ideally, this makes one for me. Makes a FX parameter and menu for me. Does not. Main menu. Okay, I'm pretty sure with the FX packages. Okay, I found it. And, you know, the next, when you pull this up yourself, this is going to be different because for some reason they never keep it in the same spot. But packages, avatars, samples, demo assets, animations, controllers, and then I'm looking for hands layer to duplicate it. FX, pull that in. I made the menu and parameters. In the FX, I'm going to get rid of the masks, and then I only put expressions on one hand. I'm going to make a folder called 3.0 for all of the animation setup. Appearance. We're only going to do one menu for the toggles, since there's only going to be like 4 toggles, luckily. Luckily. And then GoGoLoco. Go beyond menu. Before I forget, I always forget. I'm gonna add GoGoLoco. I'm realizing this might not be a great guide because I start something for about 2 minutes and then I move on to something else. So, if this ends up being a horrible video, you gain nothing from it, you know, this is just a one-off then, but I kind of wanted to see what I could provide just making a commission for a video, so. I like to edit the AFK since I just added the GoGoLoco while we're at it. Okay, and I can't just drag and drop that AFK in because I'm using GoGoLoco, so double click AFK, AFK init, and then I put all of these in. Intro out. So, I have only used this once, and I don't remember anything about it, so we're gonna figure it out. Okay, so I should be able to sweatpants like that, and then create toggle. I guess this is nice for people who don't want to buy AV3 Creator. Now you can get a taste of what this looks like. And I guess, to be honest, it's not that different. I closed it by accident, and it's a little slow. I like that AV3 Creator auto creates the menu, parameters, and FX. That alone saves me a lot of time. Ears. Unless I did it already? No. I'm gonna be honest, with that being free, that was pretty clean. That was pretty impressive. Okay, I'm gonna make an animations folder and get rid of all these. I am going to state the obvious that if you don't know how to do toggles, you should learn how to do them before you use a toggle creator, because there's been instances with like AV3 Creator, where it says that I'm full on parameters even though I'm not, and it refuses to let me create toggles. So when that happens, I have to make my own toggles. And if I didn't know how to make toggles, then I would just be stuck. I'd be sitting there Googling how to do something. Okay, I want to do the Physbones next, and I have a new way of streamlining this. I go to Physbone settings. These are all the ones that I've created. I'm going to download every Physbone that applies. This is for the bangs, and you have to turn down the pole. I messed that up. Is there a thigh jiggle? No thigh jiggle. Get the bouncy ears. I might use the straps on the bow. I might try this boob preset, but long hair. I'll also try the simple one, and this one can go for both boob and butt. What else is there? While I'm here mentioning this is a really important picture. These are all defaulted to 0.02, but sometimes that is way too big and you'll end up seeing your circle look like this, and that means that you need to lower the radius, otherwise those Physbones will not work properly. Okay, that's everything. Okay, so once I have those downloaded, I just pull them all in. And then someone mentioned that you can also just drag and drop. So if I just, oh my gosh, that is awesome. I love you guys. I love that I can share something and then people go in the comments, well, you can also do this. But yeah, just literally just drag these in, and make sure you turn on the gizmos so you can see the radius. Not too big. Not too big, we're good. This is awesome. I love that you can just drag it in. I used to click on these 3 dots. Well, I used to make the component, click on the 3 dots, and then apply the preset. This is much better. You know, I might actually go in and make a hair root. Otherwise, these are all separate components. And I can turn this into 2 components, one for the bangs and one for the back. And I'll show you how to do that actually. So be more optimized. Again, per their request, they wanted the avatar to be more optimized. But also I get to show you how to do it. So I'm going to duplicate a random bone. Name it hair back. And then let's also hair. Okay, so now all of the bones for the long hair will be attached to the hair back. I could do that a little easier if I expand this. Bangs, so I know that's the front. So I'm going to click on parent here and then type hair front. Most hairs nowadays already come with a root hair bone. I think they should always come with 2, a bang and a back, because you want the back long hair to have gravity, and then you don't want gravity on the bangs. And then you might have the back hair with like 5 colliders, shoulder, chest, arms even, and then the bangs only need the head. So there's no reason to add all of those extra collision to the bangs if it doesn't need it, which is why I think 2 Physbones is the best route to go. There's a nose wiggle. I wonder if that would look good with the cheek pull setting. Okay, so these should have, yep, and then hair back, I'm gonna give long hair, and then the hair front, short hair, and then lower the pull. That's my bad. Okay, so I'm gonna start making the colliders now. Okay, I don't even know if I need the head collider. I'm gonna see what this looks like. Yep, that looks great. I've noticed the eyeball up here. That's something I always forget. I'll fully get the avatar done, get it into VR, and then my arms are in the air because my eyeballs are in the air. Because I forgot to move this. Okay, tail check, which I forgot to add a texture to. Damn, that booty jiggly. Okay, and then the ribbon. That needs no gravity. Okay, fizz bones are done. Now it's time for expressions and blend shapes. I like to name them Z at the beginning because then I can press Z when I'm in the animation section and it takes me all the way down to the bottom, skips all of the other animations, and this is especially useful if the avatar has like 40 animations and I have to scroll through all of them. This is something I might not mention again, and if someone comments on this part, then maybe I make something of it, but I was kind of thinking of streaming this instead of doing videos. And then, of course, the stream would become a video, but then I wouldn't have to spend ages editing videos, and I could put out more of this kind of content just by hitting the stream button instead of having to spend, you know, 4 days editing. I edit my videos myself. Obviously, they're not great. I do what I can. It'd be really long form content, you know, it'd be instead of a 40-minute video, it'd be, you know, a 6-hour stream, probably in 2 different days, because there's no way I can do all of it in one day. But if you guys like that idea, toss it in the comments that you like it. I'll think about it. I'd stream it here on YouTube, to clarify. Okay, I believe there's no presets. I forgot to add the cheek to the nose. That's a sentence. I want to do that before I forget. I'm sure it's going to be cute. Alright, there's no presets on this one, so I have to add all of them. The way I do it is why you can only have expressions on one hand, because you can't have big eyes set to 100 on point on the right hand when it's set to 0 on fist on the left hand, if that makes sense. I'll copy all of them, copy it again, because sometimes it doesn't. And I'll paste them into the next one. Some of these, for some reason, set it back to 15, even though I copied it to 0, so I'm going to select them all and copy again. Okay, now for the funnest part of avatar making. I hope you can hear my sarcasm. That's cute. I like that. Okay, now I'm going to go through all of these and apply whatever blend shapes I need to the animations. Okay, I need to, before I forget, I'm going to apply the bodysuit blend shapes because those will not be on an animation. So the hoodie's off, and then I don't remember if there's another one. We'll just leave it as is until I remember. And then the hoodie's on. Socks. I had one on the body. This is my biggest pet peeve, is when I click it sometimes and then it tries to create a new animation instead. Okay, sweatpants. I keep forgetting the tail. I should do that now before I forget. I was gonna make it black to match the black ear. I'm gonna drag in my hair's texture. And then, to be honest, I might just use the same one on both. Okay, I think we're ready to start doing the texture work in Substance Painter. Let me test the model with Gesture Manager. Looks good. Ear toggle. Tail toggle. Socks. Hoodie. Antlers. Sweatpants. Perfect. This looks really good. I'm nervous about the vitiligo. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Okay, now to do that 4 more times. I'm gonna pause this. Okay, that was more fun than I thought. It was nice to just draw and then erase, and with no laws of what I was doing. I am keeping the original in case they end up changing their mind and want it as a toggle or something. Okay, and then add that in. And I also fixed the weird seam because it was visible down here. That looks really good. I did it on the hands too. And when you take the sweatpants off. Not too bad for someone who doesn't do any texture work. What's next? The next part is making it look pretty. Drag in this little box. Just a little extra, make the model to make the commission feel more cared for, I guess. Okay, now for the icons. Alright, I'm only gonna drag in ones that are applicable. So we got the hoodie. Socks. Oh my gosh, I forgot to do the sock texture. I'll have to go back and do that too. And then I use like one with all of the clothing for the appearance icon. And then the ones that do match perfectly, I can actually remove the name entirely. Tail. Put that in, remove the name, ears. So the only one that needs it is the antlers, which is annoying, but it's not like they're gonna have an icon for antlers. That's so random. So. There we go. Now I have gold and black socks. I want to see if I like the normal, combining it with the one it comes with. Okay, so day 3 consists of, that I'm not going to record. I'm going to recap what I've done and also do most of it now. Add the icons, add the skybox, compress all of the textures. I don't even think I used the simple, no. And then I use the silver one. Delete all of the textures that I don't need, otherwise the file is going to be huge. I'm not going to go through all of this right now, because again, this is something I usually do tomorrow instead. I don't need opacity maps, delete that. Compress the head. But then all the rest should be 512 or lower if needed. I don't need these boxers, it's for a different part of the asset. Okay, I'm gonna stop now and do the rest tomorrow. So another thing I do is add all of the VRC Fury optimizations. So I add the Blendshape, the direct tree, the parameter compressor. Someone mentioned the anchor override. So if you look away, sometimes the meshes go invisible. That fixes it. There was one more. You might want the like MMD compatibility. So in it, the Blendshape optimizer will break MMD because if it's not using this head specifically has all of these MMD blend shapes. At least I think they are. But Blendshape optimizer will take those blend shapes and bake them in so they're stuck at 0 and not taking up space. So you need this to make sure they still work. And I swear I think there was another. Fix right defaults, but that asks you and then you say yes, so it's automatic. Why is my metal? Oh, my metal's gold because of the skybox. I think I forgot to... Yeah, on the metal, I always say force fallback because I want to keep the color of the metal. If you don't and you want to keep the... You want the skybox of the world, then just leave it unchecked. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I do. This is it. Now at this point, I get it uploaded, and if I wanted to make sure my name in the head, for example, might not be rigged, and then I won't notice until I'm in VR, and I bend over, and then the name is still above, so I might sometimes check it in desktop before I get in VR. And the best way to do that is with MMD worlds. Let me see if I can pull one up. This is the one I have favorited, but any of them will work. I just type MMD and then when you pick a song and stand in the spot and hit play, then your model will dance, and then you can see if there's any clipping and whatnot. It's a really great way to test your models and see if they look good before you get in VR and go through that whole annoying process. So you would know if you tested in desktop immediately if you forgot to set the eyeball, for example. So once I do that, I find issues, I take pictures with my camera, I get back on here. I'm pretty happy with how this looked. If I had any personal taste that I might have wanted to add more of to showcase my style, it would definitely be the emissions to increase the ombre on the hair, maybe add another color, like there's blue in the eye, so maybe add an accent color of blue to the emissions on the hair. And then I could have the scrolling matte cap that I do, for example, which I do have on the model, but it's really subtle. I'm glad I got the strap under the boobs to actually sit under the boobs. I think that looks great, and I did not think I'd be able to do that. I hope this tutorial, guide, walkthrough, creation process, whatever you want to call it, has been helpful or entertaining maybe. I run into things I've never seen before all the time, and I have to figure out how to fix it, and that's often why I end up making TikToks, is because I find something new and I want to share it with everyone. So the concept of having these long form videos where I can show my whole process for a single commission, you might pick up things that I didn't even think about showing, that I didn't even think about making a TikTok about, making a YouTube short about. So as long as this video might end up being, I hope you did learn something from it. And I hope you enjoyed getting to see me make the model. That was a really long rant, and I'm probably going to cut most of that out. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Bye! I already shut down all my VTubers whatever stuff, so I'm not going to deal with that now, but I forgot to add the chest to the configure, and then I forgot to add the Gogo Loco to everything, so. Yeah, make sure you hit configure rig and add the chest bone in and delete the jawbone. There we go. Sorry.